Absolutely no one wanted to go back to the imperial measurement system. Indeed, there are only 3 countries in the world still currently using the imperial measurement system. Everyone uses the metric system. And yet, you've got to ask, why on earth are all of a sudden all these Brexiteers so desperate to get back to this system of measurements? Time and again, we have seen this argument put forward. It's not even something that was, shall we say, even argued about that would be a wonderful Brexit benefit, even back in 2016. But in their sheer desperation, Jacob Rees-Mogg has come forward just a couple of months, well, right at the start of this year almost, to say that he intended to bring back pounds and ounces and the true good old-fashioned imperial measurements and launched a consultation. And he was even rubbished by his other MPs at the time, saying no constituent has ever asked them to bring this back at all. And even worse, it now seems that this consultation seems to, well, not only be biased, but rigged in order to try and get their desired outcome. Why? Because, well, no one really wanted this measurement system back. We're all quite happy living in a metric world. And yet now we have to wait and see what the response is going to be. And if it really does come out that these questions, as are now being put forward, that some of them are indeed biased to try and get a response that the government wants, then, well, it's not a good look. And yet, this is one of the supposed Brexit benefits. So is it any wonder that Rees-Mogg is so desperate to maybe even try and fool and trick people into, well, getting his way? It seems to be a very classical Brexiteer thing to do. But as always, before we go diving into this article, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button down below as well. And of course, there's the YouTube subscription, the Pony Club, where you can join that and you get badges, emojis, and whatnot you can use on the channel. So, over we go today to The Guardian with their article on this, titled Rees-Mogg's Imperial Measurements Consultation Biased After No Option Given to Say No. I think that would be pretty obvious if you're going to ask people. Maybe there should be an option to say, do you want imperial measurements? No. You know? But let's see what the hell they'll have to say about it. So, it was meant to be one of the surefire wins for Brexit. But plan to bring back imperial measurements have faced criticism over claims of a biased government review. Ministers were keen to launch a review to revive imperial measurements, such as pounds and ounces. And the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, now overseen by Jacob Rees-Mogg, conducted a government consultation over the summer. However, the questions appear to have something amiss. The survey asked consumers, if you had a choice, would you want to purchase items 1 in imperial units, 2 in imperial units alongside a metric equivalent? No other option was given. Officials and even respondents who wanted to keep the current metric system could send an email to the department to give their views on one of the text boxes of the survey. The BBC Radio 4 Today programme, more or less last week, highlighted the concerns about the survey and the criticism of it on social media. One Twitter user commented, "This survey is being punted out by the BEIS, and it is so slanted that the words nearly slide off the page." Dr. Pamela Campelli, a consultant on the survey methods, who has advised the local government, told more or less, "This is missing the category that you would prefer the metric only. We are not going to get a biased. We are not only going to get a biased answer because people have chosen something that doesn't simply apply to them. It seems that they're likely actually trying to sculpt or even lead the response towards what they want because they want people to go back to imperial. France adopted the metric system in the late 18th century, and a decimalization announcement association was founded in Britain in 1841 to lobby for the new system of currency and measurements. A report by the Standards Commission back in the 1860s recommended metrification for Britain. But it was another 100 years before the government was actually set up in 1969 to promote and coordinate metrification. Once Britain joined the European Economic Community back in 1973, the government committed to adopting the metric system, and regulations were introduced in 1995 to require goods to be sold in metric units in the UK. Of course, the high profile case back in 2002 with 5 market traders known as the metric martyrs lost their court battle for a right to trade in pounds and ounces. The battle was supported by celebrities including comedian John Cleese and politicians including Boris Johnson. Rees Mogg, who had a cabinet role to identify Brexit opportunities, had been a long-term supporter of using imperial measurements. The proposed change is, however, unlikely to be hailed as a significant Brexit dividend. Not one constituent ever has asked for this, Conservative MP Alicia Keynes tweeted earlier this year on Twitter. This isn't a Brexit freedom, it's nonsense. So even your own fellow Conservatives are just like, yeah, this is stupid, this is dumb. Why are we trying to do this? But officials do say that the purpose of the consultation was to examine how greater choice could be given to businesses and consumers. And the government has not said when the response to the consultation will be published. So, of course, we've got to now sit and wait and see what happens with this consultation. But don't be surprised if it says, oh, people want imperial units back. And guess what? We're going to put them alongside the metric. So guess what, guys? It's the best of both worlds. But if you're a UK manufacturer, that has just opened an entire nightmare scenario for you, because now you've got to go back and reprint every single label, every single thing that has these measurements on in its current metric system to have imperial measurements either side of it. This means that they're going to have to take up extra space to put these amounts in. It's going to cause a massive kerfuffle because they're going to have to spend so much extra money to do that. Now, will they, of course, actually have to do that? Well, we don't know. It depends what laws get introduced. Will they introduce a law to bring back the imperial measurement system? It's doubtful. But if they really do it and say you've got to put this alongside metric, then yeah, you are going to cause so much headaches for so many UK manufacturers. And I'll tell you this now, no one in the rest of the world, bar I think 3 other countries, is going to be ordering in imperial measurements. Everyone uses the metric system, and it's just time, it was put to bed, to be honest. Let's just leave the imperial measurements back in the past and just, continue on. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.